In your pocket was down on the nut. Fine.
Matthew, can you hear me?
Sure can.
I don't hear anything y'all are saying.
The commissioner's court is muted right now.
Okay. You zooming it, Matthew?
Yes, sir.
Me and Amanda just coming back. We just left hospital.
Hey, Leon, I think we're live right now.
Okay.
Just hold on 1 minute, sirs. We're still trying to get everything set up.
No problem.
Just please wait 1 second.
Put this more nothing to know. Yeah. I'll get my knife. Yep, that's what it was. No, it wasn't weak.
Whatever it is, we'll do that later. Hold on, Cash.
What's going on, Matthew?
I'm not sure what's up. I think they're still trying to sort out some sort of issue here. There's Nick.
Hey, so Lee's getting the conference mic. She forgot to bring it, so we'll have better audio for the gentleman. So she ran back to her office. She'll be here in just a second.
Yeah, no worries.
Hang tight. Sorry, guys.
closer to the mic, so.
Go live when you're ready.
We are ready, Your Honor.
Everybody's muted.
Leon.
Leon's on.
Yeah.
Everybody's here. Yeah, you'll have to find you on.
Microphone looks like y'all got that off Johnny Carson show.
Move of desperation, believe me.
Hey, we got, thank you, everybody. Got one meeting. We discuss the insurance waiving, Texas Association of Counties. All I know is thank you. Back here. Our HR. Harold. Eddie, pleasure to the chair. Then, our main check for the bunch of Angela's here. So, anyway, Harold, you want to start this off, and you just want to turn it over?
Yeah, y'all approved going out on, I think on, in your package, I think it's paying 1,400.
The 1,300 was on.
But it said, that has lots of different things. So to make sure the deductible y'all want from that Orlando come, you can explain if you want to play with plans, or look at the plan design. Yeah. Or we can stick to what originally approved. This gives you an opportunity to make a change if you want.
Ambient, just out of curiosity, you have thing you want to compare it to with our old plan using that will understood.
Right, so we're talking about before and compare the 2022 plan. $3,000. With that $3,000 deduction, we have the HRA. And the HRA for employee only coverage, we pay the first $1,000 of the deductible. For all the other tiers of coverage, it pays the first $1,500 the deduction. The employee pays something remaining balance. So, the plan that TAC has quoted currently goes to a 15 straight to the with no HRA. So I think that's what we're looking at. Go through what these options for that.
Is that the direction that we see will be leading? Keep a lot of head shaking on here.
That's what, well, we had that HRA back then. That was compensating for the higher deductible.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, he just gave us several options that we would, deductible goes up and up and up.
Yeah.
You know, and then you have to be trying to back. But the HRA, I think, it's not a fixed cost, it is an attempt, but the way it works now, you pay it and then it gets used. And so I think it would be another factor of something that wouldn't be a fixed cost if we were to add it back in. We see it in the budget.
All right. Let's hear it.
All right. Yeah, so I'm glad I can be here in person this time. But I just basically worked up some different alternates to look at different options. I know that you guys voted to move the TAC. However, there was still discussion on as far as what plan did you want, whatever we want to look at. So what I did was I just kind of looked at some basic progression. So the plan on the far left on this alternate page, that's going to be it says renewal rates, it's actually the proposal rate. This was the one that we proposed in our proposal. So it's the $1,500 deductible. And as I mentioned before, we basically took your total cost that you guys were budgeting. We try to figure out what's the best option we can offer you with getting rid of all of your overheads, right? Giving you a set budget around the same cost as what you're currently spending, and what is the best thing we can offer you. And that's where we came in with this $1,500. So with that, there's other options. Obviously, we can go, I just went to the next two plans up. So going to a $2,000 deductible, going to a $2,500 deductible, and just looking at what that is price to see basically, does that make sense for you guys? Do you guys want to keep an HRA? Those kind of questions. I know the biggest thing was right now, the first $1,000 that they're using is on you guys. However, right now they're also paying the full cost of a doctor's visit. With this plan, they would have a copay. So when you go to the doctor for a stomach bug, let's say, you're not paying the $200 doctor. You're paying $30. So then it's an offset in terms of they don't have that money up front that they can utilize. However, they have a much lower cost because of the copays. They're really only paying that deductible when it's a procedure, right? Any other just regular visit, it's good. They're going to pay their copay. All preventative services, so your annual exam, your colonoscopies, mammograms, all that's preventative, all that's covered at 100%. They're not paying deductible, they're not paying co-insurance, they're not paying anything towards them. So then just looking at what is it that you guys actually want? You want to still offer an HRA type plan? We can. Those FAR 2, option 3 and option 4, those are both HRA plans that you can offer. Also, the other option is if that's the route that you'd like to go to still offer an HRA, you can elect any one of these plans, and you can still do a HRA on the back end where you say, okay, we're going to implement an HRA that's not an HRA plan, but we're still going to give you $1,000, $500 to use toward your deductible stuff. And you can do that in the form of a debit card, where you basically just put X amount of money on that debit card, they can carry it over the following year, and they can use that to pay the deductible. So all those are options that we can look at. I just wanted to put together something, and so that's the ultimate page. The other ones are going to be your plans. So they're going to be basically how those plans that I quoted, what they look. So really, I'm just here to answer any questions and to kind of explain to you what it was that I kind of put together for you. But ultimately, it's a decision that you guys want to talk about, figure out, what makes the most sense for you.
I think it's concerned. Budget time is here. We need to put stuff in the budget, which we have on Tuesday. I think there's going to be anything further that we go between now and then. Anyway, and it will be an item on the agenda. So we need to make serious talk today about what direction we want to go. So we can lock it in. That's the big question. That, I want to hear everybody's concerned. So there's 4 people on the board that make the decision. There's time to get pregnant. I will. But, when it gets down to it, on the smartest route. Rick?
Okay, Judge, so we know that that's better for the employee. You only have a 50, it's a match, because you have the 1,500 deductible. But I see it that you're not having to make a deductible to pay your prescription, you're not having to pay the doctor. So basically, that's not subject to the deductible. It's really only going to have surgery or something like that. What is the actual net cost to the county per employee under the tax plan? Because right now you've given us another 1,500, but your cost to the budget is less. So what's the net to the county using the 1,300 proposal with no HRA? We're still faced with the same deductible, but what is the cost to the county?
I believe the tax plan is actually costing us more than it would have to be health insurance. So the county still picking up most of it. They really are. If you look at the employee only, I mean, that's really what our cost is. Yeah, personally. So depending on how many people are active in the plan, no one proposed any changes to the employee cost. They don't, they're currently paying, so there's none of that in the budget. what else? As I understand it right now, we still have from foundations of the contract, so that is still an option to go there. And that's, it's free still, right? I think they can go there and no cost. That's what you don't see here. And when you say the county, the plan is comparable, I think, the plan we were already using. And then for the county, we also pay outside of this, we pay for foundations at the moment, which is $270,000 a year. That.
My question is really, so by not paying $1,500, you're still paying more by doing this plan without paying $1,500?
Is the HRA, the health, was not figured in to the cost. So we would be paying over and above all of that, right? That wasn't figured in.
The employees still get this out of pocket. It's 15 unless you just get 1,000.
Because right now it's a $3,000 deductible, but you guys get 1,000. So that their felt deductible is 2,000. But they also, as you guys mentioned, the prescription plan is factored into that. So then you may go through those $1,000 very quickly on the prescription plan and then have a full $3,000 deductible on your medical. Whereas here, with this, even with any of these plans, the pharmacy is separate. So you don't have a deductible. All you're paying is your co-pays as long as you're on. So you're paying either $10 for a tier 1 drug, $50 for tier 2, or $75 for tier 3. And you can get a 90-day refill instead of a 30-day refill, and that's going to cost you 2 co-pays. So you're saving, the employees are saving a lot of money on the prescription because yes, they may not have that $1,000 anymore, but they're not paying the full cost of the drug because not everything.
I think that was a big thing with the plan. From just judging, I'll kind of talk, so I don't know how the bigger options are. But I know if people were on expensive drugs, they had to pay, it would find out their HRA at the beginning of the year, and the rest of the year they would kind of pay for it themselves.
The other question was, I guess, some people were concerned about what prescriptions were covered and not covered. That seems to be an issue. And is there any more clarification?
I mean, we can still run the report, that way you guys know going into it. But we'd have to do the, I think, on getting that, claims. So, we would need the claims to see what drugs are actually being used right now. Once we have that, then we can send it off to get an actual disruption analysis to see how many of these drugs that are currently being taken are not covered under.
We should give them the talk that you gave us before about changing over to the prescriptions though, and if you were faced with not having your prescription having to switch over, you guys say that you would give them a new day or you can work with whoever you think.
Yeah, so we give obviously we know that it's going to be, it's a very different formulary, so the biggest thing that we're looking at for paying for the drugs that cost us this. We can reduce our costs, we can reduce your costs. So when we do that, we understand that new groups coming on, there's going to be a disruption there. So we try to work with our groups on giving an exception for X amount of time to give you enough time or give your employees enough time to have those conversations with the doctor about saying, and we would send out letters saying, hey, this drug that you're taking is no longer going to be covered under this plan. You have X amount of days to have this drug still and then move over to this other drug that is covered on the plan. And I think the biggest thing is we're not, for the most part, it's not saying we're not just taking away all types of drugs. We're just taking away brands of drugs. So there, when we say that a drug that you're taking, let's say, is not covered, it's because there are alternates that are the exact same thing that are covered out of much lower. So we're
Some of your doctors I can no longer take this brand prescription, and you recommend another one. In my case, you put
And so in that case, what basically what you can do is you can pick up the phone, you can call Navitus, you can tell them, hey, and all of your employees will have this option of doing this prior to January 1st. They can call Navitus and they can say, hey, I'm currently on this medication. Is this covered? Navitus will tell them, this is covered, this is not covered, or they can tell them what tier it's covered in. If it's not covered, they can give them a list of other drugs that are the exact same thing that are covered. And then that makes it a much easier conversation, because then you can go to your doctor and say, hey, this drug that I'm on is not covered. However, here are 3 others that are covered, are these over here. And then that's obviously the conversation between you and the doctor. And then there's also a situation where, let's say you've tried other drugs in the past and they didn't work for you. So a lot of the drugs that are on our formulary, some of them have something called like step therapy, where we say, you have to try this one, and this one. If they don't work for you, then we will make an exception for this. But if you can prove I've already taken these drugs, then there is a way for us to grant an exception for that drug. So it's not black and white. There is some gray area in there where we can work with you guys. If a doctor's needing to say, if they can prove for the most part that it is medically necessary for this drug versus another one, then there's those appeal process, all kinds of stuff. So that's why we want to make sure that people have the drugs that they need, or if they're in the process of doing something like this, then we can look at doing an exception to get them that same drug for now while they're going through the process of the appeals process.
Can I address this? Probably should be sitting here in front of the world talking about my health issues, but I think you all know I have them. I take medications, they're expensive. They're specialty pharmacy. I've been on them 30 years. The procedure he's talking about, where you gotta go to your doctor and they have to justify why they're giving you, is not a trivial thing. It takes a lot of paperwork. Most of the time, I have to pay the doctor to do that paperwork for me. In addition, it takes months because there's an appeal process, just like he's talking about. And what happens is, when you're on medications like I am, I mean, yeah, since there's a lot of, these medications to treat, the thing is I've had almost all of them. And there's always some kind of side effect, So the ones that my doctor picks out, and we're talking about a guy who teaches medicine, he's medical school, he's not treating. The medicines that he picks out for my treatment, he does very particularly. And you have to sit there and tell a novice insurance person who doesn't deal with my case, why he's insisting that I take this med over here. It's a horror, it's a nightmare, and I just want you to understand what you're going to put us through. And some of us who have those things every week are going to get our minutes unless we do something where we're paying for it. And I've already checked your list, and one's covered and one isn't. So there's definitely one. I'm going to have to do that little procedure on. And I know it, I see it coming, but until January, you can't do it. And the time frame it takes for them, and we're talking multiplying that by how many employees in the county are going to be dealing with, y'all are going to be swamped.
Yeah, it is not a simple as your doctor writes a letter.
No, it's
It
not.
is a process.
And it's expensive because they charge to write all those letters and send all that in. We have to pay. So I'm just throwing that out there because I've been there, done that, roller coaster business for 30+ years. And it's not a trivial thing. and personally, I don't want an insurance person telling me what medications I can or can't take. They don't know anything about my case. So then it becomes an issue with my doctor trying to convince an insurance company that he's got me on the right treatment. That's not how it should be. So
I will say,
that's just my personal opinion.
to that point, I would say it's not insurance people that are making these decisions, right? It is a full board of pharmacists, doctors, consultants, all kinds of different people that are all coming together to look at that formulary and make sure that we're not taking away drugs that work and putting in drugs that don't, right? It's not someone like me. I have nothing to do with it. I promise you that. It's way over my head for sure. But yeah, so it's on our side, on tax side, we work with a consultant to help us navigate that. And that consultant has a whole team of doctors, pharmacists, all kinds of people. Navitus also has their own people, their own pharmacists, doctors, everything. But they look at it and they're basically looking at, as you mentioned, there are drugs that they're the exact same, but for some reason, this one gives you a side effect, this one doesn't. So in those cases, if a lot of times, if you aren't taking those drugs, you already know that these drugs don't work, it makes the process a little bit quicker because you don't have to go through actually taking that drug to find out whether it works. So
There's a whole thing though with having to release the information to the insurance company. The paperwork is tremendous. I'm just telling you, don't make it sound that trivial because it's not.
yeah, no,
And I don't know how many
definitely-
people like me there are in the county, but if you're talking about 500 something people moving over on January 1st, and some of them that are like me, that are on medicines that, you know, have to go through this process, it's gonna be big.
And to that point, I would say the reason why it's not just a simple, yes, here we go, I signed off on it, please approve it, is because let's, as an example, the drug that you may be taking may cost us $100,000 for a 30-day supply. There may be a drug that's offered at $10,000 for a 30-day supply. That's a pretty big gap in cost. So when we're dealing with that large gap, and as you mentioned, that many people that are dealing with those drugs, that is exponential savings. That is an exponential, a different amount of money that we're spending on this kind of stuff, which is why it can't be. That's why I would say it can't be something that's very easy to do, because when we're talking about that big a difference in cost, it has to be something that goes through a legitimate process of figuring out, do you absolutely need this drug, or does this drug that costs a lot less, is it sufficient for you? Does it do the same thing?
Well, I will say this, anybody that's on a regular medicine regime right now, you know, where we're taking, we've already been through this with an insurance company before yours. So I've already gone through that, you know, I need to take this drug because of X, Y, and Z thing. And, you know, instead of saying, oh, well, she's been on this thing for 2 years, let's just cover it, which for the record, the expensive one y'all do cover, it's the lesser expensive one you don't. You know, it's a matter of having to redo all that paperwork. And I think that's what makes me nervous, because if I can't get the medicine while we're redoing the paperwork, if I have to go off that stuff for 2 months, I'm not working. I can't work. You understand? It will shut me down. So
we have those situations where we understand, obviously, switching drugs and stuff like that is a big process. So that's where we can come in and we can say, we'll bring exception for a 90-day window to give you the time to go through this paperwork, make sure it's filled out, to go through figuring out whether or not there's going to be a longer exception.
but Kim knows what I'm saying. I'm one out of many. I'm one out of many that you're going to have to deal with this on.
I don't understand. I mean, that's something that
Yeah.
But it's not tiered. I don't know.
I don't know. It's, you know, I have a couple of different ways that I pay for it. But it is, yeah, it goes through our current insurance right now. So, you know, it's something I've been on for quite a while. No, I have some copay assistance and some other stuff from the manufacturer and some other things that they apply into it. But weirdly enough, the one that's not covered is the lesser expensive one that doesn't have that. So I don't know why, but it's not. But it, you know, I'm just trying to give you a real life example of the problems that this is going to create. I'm not opposed to it. I'm just saying that it's a reality. It's going to cause problems. The other thing I'd like to point out is, depending on what option we're going to do, and you know, whether it's going to increase our employee cost. No one's addressing that. Okay.
I'm just assuring her that the employee cost did not increase this year.
What, you know, we were talking about on this, because it's going to increase the amount that it costs per employee to cover. And I was saying, if we're going to increase what they're paying for their family, which is what comes out of their paycheck, it makes that 5% diminish tremendously, basic, you know, looking at these numbers. So how we're going to cover that is,
Very generous. Covered it when most of the counties.
well, most of the counties are doing more than 5% too, so pay a cost of living increase that we're doing for the employees. So,
I mean, I will say, I've been at a lot of counties. A lot of them pay the employee only premium
mhm.
and do not pay anything for.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So it's going to come out of their pocket. So if it's going to increase,
Nothing I think.
okay. I'm just asking because they're going to ask me. So, so we're not going to address that, Jay? Okay.
Lee,
Yes.
Lee, what was that reply? It broke up and I couldn't understand. Is it gonna cost the employees more money?
The options, which unfortunately you can't see them, Leon, they've got 5 different options here that they're presenting with cost. And depending on how we do that, the out of pocket or what it's going to cost people to cover their children's spouse family is increasing, I believe. But they're saying we're going to cover that as the county and we're not going to put that, we're not going to make the employees pay that. My comment was if we do that, it decreases their cost of living. You know, especially for the lower paid employees because their cost
Correct.
of living is limited. So that's why I was asking about it.
And did you get a reply?
Evidently, the county's going to cover the difference this year and the employees won't have to pay the difference. At
Okay,
least fiscal year. So the county's going to cover whatever increase would be applied to the, is that correct? That's what Jay's saying. So it would
okay,
be
for this
something
year alone,
budget.
are we talking the new and upcoming budget or just till the end of this year?
The new and upcoming budget.
Whole new budget.
Okay,
But I'm assuming it would be starting in January, so it wouldn't be the whole budget, just 9 months of it. Am I right?
Starts January.
Yeah. So 3/4 of it would have the increased prices.
Right now,
thank you.
Under the self-insurance.
Yeah,
to the
until January. Yeah.
January 1st kicks off. But that is solid year. No change, no cost. Everybody good?
Okay.
So the patronage at the end of the year gets paid back for the performance. Is that paid on a participant or you share in the pool based on what you contribute?
Not it. I'm guessing you got a guy, but in that case, I think the pool itself.
Is what I'm saying.
We have a
We
track, we have a track record. And our track record's gone up. It seems that we're all getting healthy. So Orlando, remember.
No,
Yeah,
it doesn't.
it's good. The other side of it is.
I just wondered if it's based on this, what they charged us going in, and then we did better than that, so we get a patronage, or does everybody have to do better to create a patronage?
Are you talking about our surplus?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the way surplus works is that our surplus distribution is based off of the total amount is based off of the total amount the pool has surplus, right? So then what we do is basically we get that number and okay, this can change always. However, it always goes to the board to vote. And the board always votes to give the money back to our members, right? So the way it works is we figure out how much total we have in surplus. Then we look at each individual group and we say, did you contribute towards that surplus? Or did you use up some of that surplus? If the more you contribute to it, the larger amount that you'll get back, but it's not going to be $1 per dollar. So if the total amount that you contribute into the pool, let's say it's 8.5. And let's say we only paid out 8. So there's a $500,000 surplus. You're not going to get $500,000. But you will get a portion of that back. And then the other part of the formula is how long have you been? The longer you've been with TAC, you're gonna get a little bit more. So you may get, let's say 10 years down the road, you guys have been with us for 10 years and we lost money. You're still gonna get something back because of the longevity. So it's not necessarily invested, but we just look at that and say, we want to reward the groups that are staying around long term. Because the only way that we can continue doing what we do and keeping our costs low is having those long term relationships. Because we may lose money in the next, we may lose money in the second year. Eventually, it's going to even out, and we're going to, over a long period of time, we're going to break. And that's our goal. Our goal is to break even with you guys over a long period of time. We're not expecting to do that. We're not expecting to make money or lose money in 1 year. We just know it's 1 year, 2 years. If that's the long, that's the period of time you're going to be with the county. We're not going to break it. So it's a long period approach, which is why we want to reward our counties for being in this long term. So that's why it's not 100% based off of just how much we contributed towards surplus. We also want to make sure we're also giving back to counties that have stuck with us long term, and we've been able to build that relationship. And they've had years where they've contributed surplus. They've had years where they took away from surplus. So it's a long term.
Okay. I mean, that's something you can't factor in now, but that's a long term.
And so usually what we do is we also, so the past 2 years, 2 years ago, we had a surplus. And what we did was we decided, or the board decided, they were going to take that total amount and they were going to divide it. 1 year, they were going to get, save the other half for the following year. That way, we're going to have a surplus or not. But when we do have a good surplus, we want to spread it out so that way we're always getting the surplus. So as of yet, we have not given the surplus back. So, whenever we have those large surpluses, we'll probably divide that up into multiple years so that way you're getting money every year. And it's not just only in good years, you're getting a lot and then bad years.
So does that go against your premium or it's just a lump sum?
It's a lump sum. It's a check that you'll receive at the end. I think it's sometime in the summer. You get it for the previous.
So are we leaning toward looking for a recommendation of which option to go with today? That's the overall package. That's our goal, right? So Tuesday we will go forward. Yeah.
Orlando, Lacey and Mary had a really good meeting before this meeting, talking about logistics. And we would all love it, Orlando, this tag team, we love it, me and my team, we love it. If you guys could make the decision on Tuesday about all the details, and fill in all the blanks for us, so they can get prepared, and we can get prepared when we make this transition as smooth as possible.
One thing as long as we have an option shows the recommendations for the fill in the blank. It's not, not all of us are gonna be specialists, and not just insurance and short. Insurance was supposed to be got. And legislators, if anything like this, that's part of this job. The what we're looking for is what option you want that's supposed to want to do. And it's this painless that we check. And then we get the same service basically that we are used to getting. Pharmacy, including deductibles and everything else, make sure it's not a big burden on the, not just the employee, but the employee's family. And that's what I'm talking about, filling the with recommendation. Now, how you see it, dealing pretty close to that?
I'm just looking, I'm still going back to, which, I don't know, but when he said, are we gonna have to take a list of all the medications that they do pay for and take it to our doctor when we go to our doctor's visit and say, whatever you're thinking, doctor, first look at this list before you decide to give me something.
Yeah.
Because that's what I'm gonna have to take. Never mind what you think. We're the MD, but never mind what you think. We gotta go what tax saying it will pay for. So before I do this, pony dance and have to do all those updates, not pick something from here. Is that what?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say that. I would say, because it's not that much different from every other. There are some that are just ridiculously overpriced drugs that we don't want anymore. We would rather pay for a drug that is the exact same thing, a lot less, the cost is a lot less. But I will say, I mean, once we do that analysis, we will have a better idea of what the difference is between the current formulary. Before knowing, I would, a lot of the conversations have that. Right? Your doctor's going to prescribe a number. You take that over there, and then the pharmacist can tell you whether it's covered or not, and then you can access after that, figure out is this drug is not covered, but here are some other ones that are covered, and then 9 times out of 10, all that they will say, okay, that's fine. That's
But I'm fearful that I've had 10.
yeah.
You know what I'm getting at? You know,
What I'm-
I'm sitting up there and I've got cancer and my doctor's telling me this is the drug that's gonna work for you. And I'm gonna have to say, but wait a minute, I don't hope for that. So what else you gonna do? You know what I'm saying? So I don't. But there are still drugs on that insurance that are not covered. And they have been much money, you know, and I had to go back and because when I got a bill and when we trying to get that, oh no, I'm not paying that. And so then we went back and I told her and I said, what else can we do? And then she started pulling out all the other things that we could. Now, parts of the special pay, you know, for, but. And that's like, oh, yeah, not covered, I'm gonna go back and figure out what else I can do. You know. Depending on. But I don't know, depending on there, yeah, and I know some people are gonna have a lot more change than I do. But I'm just saying that no matter with any insurance, and it's or another insurance company had gotten a lot of bid, we would switch. And then they're than what we're used to now. So I think all of this is legitimate to talk about, but hear about it. Not. It's just like if it's not a switch to do it. We just have to switch to that. You know, but the good thing about this is that that we're staying in the same for the long network. We're gonna stay in the same network. So the biggest change will be prescription, assuming that the things we make now are not covered.
And the biggest point that I want to, is for those of you that are concerned about our ability to help in this time. And that from Caremark to Navigis 3 years ago. So I guarantee you there's not going to be more work for this one county than there was for our county. And we took care of it. There was noise, there was people that were upset, there were people that were telling us that we were trying to. We handled it all. We very rarely hear problems at this point. And those problems for the entire pool really died down. I gave you the 6 to 8 month time period. That was the time period it took the entire pool, all 231 counties that we work with, to die. So for about 500 employees, that's not going to be very hard for us.
Well, I will say this, like I said, I've had to, in 30-something years, I've done this before. It usually gets approved. It's just the time and the paperwork involved to do it. Most of them usually come around to my doctor's point of view, which is she takes this drug, keep giving her this drug, and we work out some way to get it paid for. So, but it's just the time and the paperwork. And there is the possibility of going without medication while that's going on. And that's what scares
Well,
me.
that's where we work with you guys on. We're not like another insurance company where the bottom dollar is the most important. I was talking to him earlier, a lot of decisions that we make, we don't financial sense. Because those decisions are being made by elected county officials that are on our board, because they're what's best for them. So when you're talking to us, it's not like talking to Blue Cross Blue Shield. It's not like talking to, we are the association of the counties. So a lot of those decisions, a lot of those exceptions that we make are because we're for the best interest of the counties. And so that's where our promise is that we will work with you guys in these situations. You know, if it's a big situation that requires some kind of exception to give it enough time to get this done, we'll work. We're not gonna say, oh, well, you do this. So you're out of luck, sorry. We're gonna work with you. We're gonna try to do our best to limit disruption. Because at the end of the day, we would like to be part of our pool for a very long time. And the only way we can do that is by showing our customer service, and by showing that we are ready to help you guys.
Y'all had a lot of turnover. You're talking about going from Caremark to Novitas, is that what's going? Okay, okay.
Baptist was the only major move that we made in terms of wellness platforms, but as far as stability, you're probably not.
Well, Lee, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Could you ask a question for me? Would there be a possibility that our employees may not be able to obtain or stay with their current physician?
He's asking.
It's the same network. The same network, so there shouldn't be a situation. The only situation that could arise would be if that doctor decides to up and stop accepting Blue Cross Blue Shield. But it's the same network.
Yeah, he's saying since we're staying on Blue Cross Blue Shield, that there shouldn't be a problem with the doctors. We're mainly
thank you.
discussing changes related to pharmaceuticals.
Okay, thank you.
We anticipate problem. You know, this one.
Yeah, we have our formularies on our website. Any employee now can go in and look at our formulary. But just like you did, you said,
Yeah.
you already looked at our formulary, you know, one's covered, one's not. So every single employee can go on to county.org, look at our formulary and find out.
They call it trans.
Except for a religion person. And we're like that will be very good to, you know, our booklets and all of the books of all the things that happen during open enrollment. We can answer lots of questions then, but all of the employees will be getting, what do you call it?
Our resource guide. Our resource guide has the plan design in it. It has all the different programs that are offered, healthy county information. So it has everything that they can think of that deals with the health insurance or whatever else it has.
Is that? That'll happen in early November, and so all of the employees will have that information then, so they can have November and December to figure out the communication. But prior to that, now, today, right now, you can get on your phone and go to county.org and look at the health and benefits and find their form. That's what I do. You know, I mentioned before that I taken a look at the form, and that's what I did.
Starting now.
Can do. But anyway, I think these are all good questions, and I know I mean that probably has heard all these questions. I think we need to get back on the rails. What do y'all want to do?
Yeah. I mean, are we looking at option one?
Be that the one that says.
Well, it's like,
Is 13, the very first one. That's what I think.
Plan 1400, plan 13.
1300 is one that we included in the proposal.
Okay.
It says renewal rates, but it should say proposal.
And we get decided. Plan 1,300 is what we are looking at.
That's what they quoted us. And then these other ones are just options if y'all want to look at those.
Leon, did you get that with Plan 1,300?
I'm sorry?
Did you get that when we're looking at Plan 1,300 on the sheet?
Yeah, I can't see it. I'm on the phone. I'm not on Zoom.
Okay, okay. We'll make sure that, Karen can print you this out so you can take a stare at it.
And the 1,300 is what we quoted originally. So it's what you guys have already taken a look at.
Plan 1,300. What are the other questions from the like? You know, that you're discussing on.
Do you want to go with that topic, or do you want to factor in an HRA or not?
Yeah,
And
that's-
if you say no to the HRA, then what do you want to do with the balances that are at the current HRA balance? When we talked about it, I thought about this, we talked about it. And it can go either way, it's not a lot of people hang in, you know, but the HRA money is not paid out until it is used. So it is an employee benefit, but we pay it as you use it.
Right.
So if we don't have it anymore, then it's not gonna be used anymore, and it just goes away. And of course, everyone has several different ways to handle that, you know, because some people do have balances. Some people do not. I think it's like 50%. I think 50% of people still had a balance, and 50% did whatever,
So you take a potential.
a potential balance of things that can be used. And I know when we were talking on the insurance committee, Joanne mentioned, you know, she just mentioned the fact that when you leave, you can't take it with you. So she's, you know, just because she was raised, but I didn't get my balance paid back to me of my HRA, you know. So anyway, but I think our standpoint from budgeting is we don't spend it until it's used. So if I don't know what you guys had in mind, but if the plan that you does not have an HRA in it. And we could have several months to give up balance, but really never done the Gallagher. So I think it's y'all's decision. What to do.
Well, some of us are contributing extra, correct?
Well, if you're contributing extra, that is different.
Okay,
That is on your health saving. Flex spending, that's different. Flex spending is different than the HRA that the county,
okay,
so it's two separate.
okay.
Right, that balance. That will not.
And that one has to limit us how much you can carry over.
It's a usage, it's used.
Okay, let me ask, what's the overall impact? Keeping the HRA here.
It's gonna increase the amount that people pay for insurance because it wasn't factored in to the bid.
You have numbers?
It varies, and so, like I said, again, if y'all do that, then you're factoring in an unknown variable again, which is what we were trying to do whenever you did this.
It looks like it's $60 to $100 per employee. So, I mean, based on the difference between these two. So the employee only is about 60. The others look like they're about 100 more per person. So if you just say 100 per person times however many got, that's what.
Then this plan. And then, instead of, I think the reason that we used it was and then have high drug costs. Well, I'm so just to balance the, probably, you know, getting the co-pays versus give the HRA. On this side, we got lower, deductible.
My experience. our plans, the way it's set up is our pharmacy is not carved into the medical. Now, I would tell you that the majority of the people that are probably pharmacy side, because about 10 to 15% of your employees are probably maxing out. That's on average, all of our groups, just to throw this number out there. Basically, 10% of our population in the total pool accounts for 90%. So it's a very, very small percentage of people that are using it for medical, but a much larger percentage are using it on pharmacy. So they're not going to have to need the money from pharmacy because now they're only paying for it. Instead of
HRA really.
That's what.
And I will say that was the reason why we quoted this plan was because it got our thinking process was you don't need the HRA anymore because this plan now offers you copays. It offers you a separate pharmacy plan, and you're not paying towards that deductible and stuff like that. So our thought was this is your fixed.
What's the next one?
It's not right in the end. Being appointed. It's late in the year to do that. It would be a lot. Those. So we would let it, we could keep.
So process is their story.
That was probably that was. Your retirees are happy with it. Let's not rock the boat. Let's worry about your current employees for now and then later down the road. See if it's.
13, no HRA.
Statutory like that. Taxes transition over to different carrier for that.
We didn't have these services provided before. We just added
It just had.
the SSA administration. So it's brand new for us.
He doesn't recommend you get on board with them, that he can't recommend you. So there were a recommendation to stay with help for the spending and the figure.
Yeah. On the next thing,
It's a health equity. This we have.
Wage works, so equity.
Now, that's not to say that I'm saying it's bad. I just don't know enough about it, and I would rather us focus on things that we're good at to start.
we'll give you a year to get things for.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's what I've told a lot of my groups. I said, I don't know the ins and outs of it yet. Let us work them out for a year, and then let's move it to next year. So, plans for all of them.
I told her earlier that also, I have all these new tabs. One of them is playing sports and we're breaking. Playing sports. Not gonna be needed now. Let's say this tag, because for like today, they're not gonna be able to do the employee, or they could do it, but it's gonna be. Next year will be an online enrollment, like it has been in the stores. But for this year, this fall, this open. They don't function. Or he's gonna have they're gonna get the file fee employees, we're gonna keep them updated. We do hire all that, so there's not gonna be any. And if that's so, we don't wanna. Tell. If it's.
On our side, having a paper application. We have our electronic portal. where people want to make donations.
Sometimes and 95 service for us too. They'll do 95s. Thanks for systems for us in the past. So that's why doing this.
Yes, yeah. So when you're in the pool, ARCS, which is what enables that, and no fee for it, ESS, which is our portal, there's no charge.
So, just every it's,
so the two options that you have for Cobra are you want to do it yourself, which is either you guys handle it or you can outsource it. Our other option is do it through Blue Cross Blue Shield. Blue Cross Blue Shield, they charge $150 only if someone ever, it's one time. Okay? If no one ever elects it, they will always send all of this, the paperwork and everything out, and they will never charge it.
so because Blue Cross Blue Shield is the company that knows.
They're off of your bill. So right now, let's say, how you're doing it, it would stay on your bill and you'd have to collect the money. Through Blue Cross Blue Shield, they come off your bill, they come out of our system and they're paying your premiums directly.
I can tell you in 100 years that I've been in this, I don't think we may have had one person sign up on COVID because it has been incredibly expensive. I don't know what the cost.
It would be whatever this cost would be plus the 2%. Plus 2 pays.
So the employee, if they wanted, I'll only pay them $50. They would have the county portion of it plus 2%. So, I mean, it's
Maybe that's only $100
per person. Is,
never paid $1.
so,
Now, I will say that is a direct contract between the county and Blue Cross, so we'll get you that set up to get that.
You're done, you're the one who, once you become the ghost. Okay, well, I like it.
Well, yeah, so once the termination is entered, that fee goes to Blue Cross Blue Shield. Blue Cross Blue Shield knows this person's terminated, they send all the. Takes you guys.
Good job. Here's the one, that's word. Turn it over to Jill. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the-
And so. That or not, and then there's also currently one voluntary life insurance for employee only, spouse and dependents. And so TAP has included that in the proposal and their coverage is through the WIA. And so we need to make a decision to move this voluntary products plus the county coverage to TAP.
We'll give employees election choose if they want.
Right, but I mean, you've got to say whether it's one of your one of the.
Good answer. No, my love. Sorry.
Then I. You want to keep it. You want to continue to pay for $30,000 in life insurance. I mean, this is on the table.
Well, considering some folks just don't have enough money, very. So. Being realistic. I do so many regular years a week. You know, like 3 times a week. Some folks just don't have the money. Also, we have. I'm looking at being realistic about it. Keep that. Penny said, yeah, we deal with it on a regular basis. You'd be surprised. Y'all know what the cost is just for somebody? Probate insisted, like 5 times the cost. You go to. See the attorney.
Yeah.
Been too good. Don't do it.
You can do it.
Holographics are great. I'm just pulling this out.
Yeah,
Food for thought on Thursday.
right.
We've gotten those things on napkins.
Yeah, I know, we did. I've seen some.
And then the last thing is,
I'm so trained. We call that.
okay.
All right, move it.
Ready?
Doctor.
So we currently have MedLife, as like Aflac and coverage under MedLife and accident and critical illness, hospital indemnity and legal insurance. Gotta decide whether you want to keep that or not keep that. It's a lot of people in my office to keep up with. Mary and Lacey are gonna punch me when they leave here if I say, keep that alive. So I'm not gonna say that, that's y'all's decision one way or another, but, you know, it's a bit of a paperwork right there. And to tell you the truth, a lot of times what happens is employees will sign up for it just because they are like looking through their sign up and they don't really want to take that. Yeah, I might have to accident for you. And then they get their first paycheck and they go, oh dear, what did I do? Because they have all these deductions coming down and it's a lot of extra stuff. Yeah, it's your call.
Help me.
Yeah, it helped me. And it's our voluntary money.
Yeah, we're paying for it. Mhm.
I think that's important.
But TAC doesn't, don't do that medical business.
You're talking about disability and accident coverage
So that,
and, yeah.
you know,
What else?
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, why don't you address the medical is with Blue Cross Blue Shield and it's but you're gonna have to move on. dental and vision. Go through how that's going.
Yeah, so dental and vision, what we offer is through Blue Cross Blue Shield. Both dental and vision are both. Who your current.
Blue Cross Blue Shield.
So that's, but I know the price was, so that's where I wasn't sure if you guys wanted to move everything to TAC or if you were gonna look at moving what makes sense and then. That's what it is.
You do it all.
I'll take it all.
I want to get one phone call.
With moving all of it, consolidates the bill, you get one bill from us that has all of it on there. Everything, customer service goes through us, so, and it makes sense, but it's, well.
So you address dental, but also vision.
Vision.
With Blue Cross.
Go right down all the.
Well, I noticed, I think Dee Dee just finished the agenda. So if you're going to add all this, or how do you want to do it? You want to add to the agenda addressing all these other insurance issues or?
Yeah, it should be in.
Okay, I haven't looked at it because I'm in our meeting, but
Let's talk about
you want me to look, I haven't, because I've got this one at this meeting open, but do you want to just do it under that big umbrella and address all of these? So we just need a laundry list of, what's going to stay where or what's moving to where.
That, even though you said that pretty much covered it all. I didn't get a chance to see.
let's talk about.
Yeah.
More employees.
Well, it's, and the reason I bring it up is it's almost going to have to be are you going to stay with MetLife? Going to do this, yay, nay, you're going to have to almost, I don't know how you would group it all together and say we're voting this or not, so. So just do a separate vote on each line item. We can, I guess, yeah.
I don't have the person who has to make the motion.
Logan gets ready.
Yeah,
This is what we talked about. We didn't decide on it. Strongly recommend, I think that's the right word. We have an attorney. Strongly recommend.
well, well, no, he popped out, didn't he?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I think ultimately what you're gonna have to do though, is we're gonna have to go through, I moved to keep MetLife, I moved to move this to TAC, so we're gonna have to do several motions, I think, to address the pieces, if you're gonna break them up into pieces. But based on what I wrote here, maybe 5 or 6 pieces. Not bad, it's not.
Barry and Kim and Lacey go get together and summary. Yes,
Lacey's gonna do an amazing job. Bring them on.
no, she will.
What is that?
If you send me that, I'll do this, and I'll put together our packet. So that way, as soon as it's approved, you can sign it.
So we could say that, adhere to the adversarial for Orlando. We're not.
No, we're not. Hey, we're not. We're really not. So we're not.
To try to get this to be as clear as possible for us and them, for everybody concerned. And so far so good. Everything is going good. We just need direction from the board on Tuesday so we can get going. I will say, Gallagher has also been incredibly helpful to our office, and with the things that are gonna remain in the balance, we still need it. So Benestar, we're gonna keep that line. Some of those things, some of the transition things, winding down on this stuff, finishing out the rest of the year. you know, moving forward, I'm gonna go tag Gallagher included in the proposal as.
Yep.
So, you know, that's in there for 2023. Gallagher has been over the years to my office incredibly valuable as far as the logistics and moving everything. So, and, you know, I told Orlando that, you know, we can get there, he'll find them stuff down and get it all figured out so that it all goes well and everybody's stuff is where it's supposed to be and we don't have our hiccups then, I would. To get the transition to be as smooth as possible. And if you weren't there, the brokerage fees would go down.
Yes, and you do have, there are commissions built into your rates that go to Gallagher, so if you were to get rid of your broker, you save whatever that commission is.
Is that commission going to compensate?
On the proposal that we provided, that annualized, I think it was like 100,000 on the medical.
But whatever it's provided.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah, so on the proposal that we provided, each page has what the actual commission is, and then annualized to do.
If I get more, Sheriff?
Must not taking a shower, they all have.
Yeah, no, no, it's the person, that's all it's going to. Get paid.
Mr. Arthur's paying.
He doesn't know that. Maybe you have a shoe on the left door.
No, I won't.
Real out, thank you, I know you got. Harold? I'm good. Andrew? Delia? Yeah.
Sounds great.
All right. Brother Rick?
Raise the money.
Well, I think at some point it probably would be a good idea for department heads to maybe pull in your staff and say, changes are coming, you know.
Right. That's exactly.
Yeah.
The right edge, I think.
Well,
You guys, you got something.
If this is gonna be an early November choice thing, then maybe in October, we sit them down and go, hey, get ready, got to start looking, make it, you know, see what you're gonna do. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I feel like I got people in Cleveland, I gotta bring all these people in and talk to them about what's changing, so. Okay, good, cut it off. We're done.
Yeah.